AI. Ooh, big scary AI. Is it coming for your job? What do you think? Like, especially as a creative. Hey, Shelby, what's up?
Hey,
You
not
good?
much. Yeah. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday indeed. All right, so for this point of the Social Shift segment, we have brought in esteemed graphic designer extraordinaire Shelby Owens to join us. Cue the applause. One thing that we've talked a lot about internally, I think we've all kind of had thoughts of this is something that's on everybody's hearts and minds right now, especially in our biz, is AI. Ooh, big scary AI. Is it coming for your job? What do you think? Like, especially as a creative, especially we talk a lot about the Canvas of the world, the even Adobe Expresses of the world, tools that people have at their disposal to be able to do what we do. ChatGPT, things are out there. And it's like, it's evolving every day. It's getting better. People are using it for more. What are your thoughts around, is it coming for everybody's jobs or is it coming to help everyone?
That's funny because that's the first thing that a lot of people ask me whenever I tell them what I do.
Yeah.
Whenever I was first starting, everyone's like, ooh, like, you're a designer. How do you feel about AI? Like, it's going to replace you someday. And I really don't think that that's the case. I think that it is, as I've learned since I've stepped more into the professional world, a tool, but it's definitely not something to rely on. Like, I'm the first one to say I use Chad, as we call him, Chad GPT, like to figure out a little headline or something like that. I used Chad the other day to show me what I would look like if I were a dog, golden retriever.
Very useful stuff.
Only Shelby. This is what she does in her free time.
When I have the free
when
time.
You have free time, right.
But I think that it is a tool. It's very nice, but there's something about that human personality element that AI just can't replicate. Like, yeah, if you ask it to do something, it'll make a nice photo, but it doesn't know how to kern, type. It doesn't know how to do different fonts. Doesn't know how to do hands, a lot of things. So there are some just really personal things that only a professional can do. So
I think even the headlines too. I think because I know I saw. I think Jay sent us. It was AI doing like ads basically. But
he
the
did,
type. You know, sometimes you can do heavier type and then like the sub. You know, it can't do that yet.
Yeah.
No.
I found it to be really good. I use it as an augmenting tool, right? So like to me, it's like a notebook. It's like, give me something to run with, like to start. I feel like it's really good at technical tasks.
Yes.
Like if you need to do something to springboard, like gather this data for me so I have some stats to use in a carousel. Or I just feel like it's like to your point, Shelby, it's missing the human intuition, the creative intuition part, the part where you need to be able to have empathy to be able to look at it and go, is this really hitting the mark?
Right.
But also from a technical creative perspective, like the things like kerning, line height, font differentiation, hierarchy and messaging, it's not quite there. It's probably going to get there at some point, but I still think that you still need a human.
Yeah.
You're still going to need a person to make some of those determinations from an emotional standpoint. That's what it can't replicate.
Right. And there are some things that are, as a designer, really nice with it. Like I'm more of a font, print, color, that type of a designer. So whenever I need to do something in Photoshop, generative fill to expand out.
Great.
That's my best friend.
Yeah, me too.
Rather than using like the clone stamp tool because one, that takes forever, and two,
we used to have to do that.
Yeah.
That's what we had to do.
No,
those are tough things. Or cutting somebody out of a background, like background removal. That's brilliant for that.
Stuff like that, it's very helpful. It's a time saver, but then that's when you save that as a PNG, bring it into Illustrator, and then you work your own magic there.
Yeah.
So do you find this, Shelby? I know this for me, it really helped me out. A lot of creatives are, was it right side of the brain?
I think right brain, yes.
Right, it's more creative. So the left side is like when people would ask me to come up with a title, like a header, I was like, because they want one person to do the graphic plus the copy. And I know for me, chats really helped me out with that part. Like I can, even doing social media, like I love doing the content, but then it got to the point where why pay two people to do, captions and, why can't just the person who's posting do all of it? And so I know that's really helped me out coming up with captions and, graphic design, doing headers and stuff like that. Like, does that help you out or is it?
It definitely is a good place for inspiration. Like sometimes if I'm doing like an email with like a header at the top, I'll ask it to give me a few headlines, and it's pretty rare that I'll actually use something that it gave me word for word.
Yeah.
Like one time I was doing something with a panini, and it gave me like fresh off the press as one of them. So I was like, okay, like I'll take something like that and make it my own.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good like springboard.
Right. And like how long would it have taken you to come up with that simple phrase, right?
I'd like to say it wouldn't have taken me that long.
Shelby's pretty sharp. But it's a great, I like I said, like a notebook, right? Like even with things like blog posts or like long form written content, like asking it to write you a treatment to say, hey, write me a treatment around these things. And then you go in and give it your own voice. I think the thing people need to understand, especially creatives, is even as a writer, like I talk to Jay about this a lot because, Jay's an award-winning writer. He's a brilliant guy. But even he'll look at ChatGPT. He's like, hey, this is something that can really augment my workflow and help me springboard, like you said, springboard with some ideas. Yeah. But then he'll give it his own touch, right? But to get going, like especially like let's say you're out of juice, right? Like you've just been doing it all day, which is a lot of what we do. We work with several clients. And we're just at it all the time. We're constantly having to come up with things. And, when you've been sitting there designing for a while, the last thing you want to do is have to come up with a body copy for someone. Yes. Not to say that we don't love it. To our clients out there, we love it.
But I think it's challenging, though, for creatives to come up with that.
It is, especially if you're not inherently a writer. If you're more of a designer, like I think everybody's got that creative. It's like I'm a designer at my core, but creative at my core. But I like to write, too. Like I was in school, in college, my whole thing was lit. So I like to write papers. I always tell people like I could write a paper with my hands tied behind my back, but ask me to do a linear equation and I just want to run away. Like spreadsheets, equations, like as much as I love data and it informs everything we do, I'd rather not do that stuff if at all possible.
Yeah.
But another great way to aggregate what you need is to use a Perplexity or a ChatGPT to kind of get you going, at least in that direction, to say, hey, what are some baseline things that I need to know, at least to get started? And then from there, I can just kind of handle the rest of it. But
so what are your top AI, I guess, agents that you use?
Not gonna lie, the only one that I actually know is Chat. People talk about Perplexity and everything else, and I mean I know they exist, but I think that Chat GPT is just maybe like the OG, so maybe that's just what I know, but that, and I guess like generative fill. That's my favorite form of AI.
Well, hey, listen, when you have to do something that's horizontally oriented and somebody asks you to use a picture that's vertically oriented, it is a lifesaver.
People don't realize how difficult it is to change, the format from vertical to horizontal. It's incredibly difficult. It can be sometimes, depending on what it is, especially like video. If you shoot something horizontal, you're either, when you do it vertical, you're going to crop in a lot, or you got to figure something out.
That's why open gate cameras are becoming so popular, and they're building these smaller cameras that can shoot open gate, so you can do both. So you can just shoot it big format, wide open, IMAX style, and then chop it down however you want. But once you've chopped it, there's no going back unless you go back to the original. But it's really interesting. And Grant Miller is our lead content developer, and he's got a bunch of really great ideas around this. If you guys want to, you can check out at thepointgroup.com. We've got a whole blog article around, we got a blog post around, is AI coming for your job? And he's really funny, very sharp. It's kind of satirical kind of vibe. And the article is really funny. You should go check it out if you get a chance. Go and look for it. It's got a picture of a cartoon crying artist because we're always looked at creatives. People always look at creatives like, oh, why are y'all whining so much? Just embrace it. I think the best thing that any of us could do right now, anybody really in any industry, because especially people that do technical jobs, it could very well replace you if all you're doing is gathering insights. You know what I mean? If your job is just to research and gather data. But at the end of the day, like, I think the best thing any of us could learn is how to become better prompt masters.
Yes.
To figure out how best to use it for whatever our workflow is, right?
Yeah.
What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's something that I really had to learn, rather than just telling Chat, like, give me a headline for a turkey sandwich. Like, no, you have to tell, like, who the brand is, like, what their audience is, how you want it to sound. Like, if you want it to be more homey and loving rather than, like, quippy and funny. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
there's definitely a way to train it.
Yeah, I see prompts as kind of like HTML back in the day, or like like MySpace. We used to like copy the code.
We're aging ourselves horribly.
I know. Let's edit that part out, actually. No, but it's the same thing now, right? Like the prompts. Like I didn't realize a lot of the prompts I were doing were just like not that great, and that's why I wasn't getting great results. And then I think a really good thing to do is like share within like team like the prompts you use, because 100%. I've done that before, and there's prompts. I'm like, I didn't even think of that.
Especially if it's a tone of voice thing. Like the way the voice that we have for Point is sort of is very, very kind of like relaxed, sort of next door neighbor, really well versed next door neighbor kind of vibe. That's kind of snarky. Yeah. And sort of tongue in cheek. So having those prompts to be able to match tone of voice is really important. But then also there's room for evolution too. Like if you want to, if you wanted to do something maybe a little bit off the beaten path, there's opportunity for that too. But it's nice to be able to have that sort of shared vibe amongst people that are going to be putting out that content, so they know, hey, we need to make sure that we kind of hit on this kind of a tone, so that our brand voice stays consistent. But it's this is really great. I think that so I think the gist of it is like AI is not coming for anybody's, not going to kill off anybody's job just yet. No. But we could all do ourselves a ton of good by just learning how to utilize it the best we can.
And I think now is the time to learn.
Yeah,
definitely. Like you want to stay in the game. It's right now.
While it's still kind of ground floor. Another one that I was really interested in, especially from a filmmaking perspective, is Sora. Man, Sora is amazing. Some of the stuff that it can do. I mean, those astronauts walking on that red moon or whatever that was when it came out a couple years back, and those elephants running in the snow. Some of that stuff was absolutely. But like
our companies asking for content like that, and that's where I think that AI is not necessarily coming for our jobs. It can do really cool things, like make us look like toy figures in a package. Like I don't know if you guys seen that lately. But nobody's asking.
Shelby hates that trend.
I hate it. That's my least favorite trend that's happening.
I saw somebody yesterday that had a cup of coffee and was like in all black, and it had like a briefcase and a passport, and it said content executive or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, please.
Yeah, some trends like that I get kind of annoyed, but that one actually I think is pretty fun. It's a little lighthearted, but going back to this, so it's like clients aren't asking for things like this, so it's like those things are really cool and they're fun, but I think some of the real work that clients are asking for is
going back real quick. I got to give you all this anecdote. I saw a hilarious one the other day. It was an IG baddie, and she had on like a crop shirt and like those fuzzy slippers. And like a Nissan car key, but like an eviction notice on her phone. It said like negative $1,359 or something like that. It was funny, man. I don't know. I was like, man, it couldn't have been any more on point. No offense out there at all, y'all influencers. Insta baddies. Yeah, that was hilarious, man. So people are finding funny ways to use it, which is also really fun too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely makes for some laughs. I think that's one of the key things too. Is like we were talking earlier about. Use it to have fun, man. That's the other thing is like, Grant uses ChatGPT as a springboard for some of his stuff. And he, for you wrestling fans out there, he told ChatGPT to talk to him as if ChatGPT's Macho Man Randy Savage. So he calls him brother and says a lot of stuff that Randy Savage would have said. So it's like the Slim Jim guy for y'all who don't know.
But then it's annoying for the rest of us that use the same account, and I'm asking
it calls you brother.
Chat, like, hey, can you give me a headline for this? And he's like,
oh yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, no, I want you to use my lingo. Like, tell me slay.
That's funny. Yeah, that's funny. And then fab, pretty fab. Or inside joke. But yeah, it's awesome. I think it's what a time to be alive, man. Where all this stuff is coming to the forefront, and we're able to use it and continue to grow as artists at the same time. But use it to kind of make what we're already doing, effectively better. Right, which
faster.
Is really awesome. So so don't be afraid. You're not going to be out of a gig just yet, but you better start learning some things real quick. Yeah. If you want to use it in your.
That's why we always say yet.
Yes. We're not there.
It could very well.
Not there just yet. Pretty soon we could all be in the Matrix. So who knows? We'll be getting grown. We'll be grown inside pods. Who knows?
It scares me when I see, like, the other day I asked ChatGPT. I shouldn't have done this, but whatever, to like tell me about myself to see like if I could catch it in the act. And it pulled up a photo of me.
Really?
Yes. And I was like, okay, I'm shutting the computer. Yeah. So
that's really
that creepy. Was scary, but it's also funny.
My wife was telling me the other day, she said, she's a writer and an author and a painter. And she said, every time you ask ChatGPT to do something for you, it has to use so much water to cool down the servers. So be careful about how often you use it. I don't know how much she's quite not really a conspiracy theorist, but she pays attention to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of that is true. Have you guys heard any of that stuff? Like does it use extra water reserves to cool down the servers, or what? How does it?
I've never heard that.
I've never heard of that, but I'm gonna look into it because I'm also
because I'm kind of interested in that kind of stuff. And it's like, man, if because here's the other thing is like, I want to be able to use this stuff, but I also care about the world. So and the earth and not overheating it to the point that we're going to, all be frying. Our bottoms of our feet are going to be frying before long. It's already bad enough in Texas, let's be honest. But I don't think we need it to get any warmer. So we'll see.
I also think too, though, like a lot of people, they're very scared of technology too. Yeah. So the same thing could have been said about a lot of things, and they were, a lot of things, like even social media, all these things are. When they first came out, people were just so scared of it and just, it's gonna ruin everything, and then eventually those same people are just like on social media like all day. So
it's assimilation, man. I mean, what choice do we have? It's either fall in or get left behind. I mean,
well, I think ultimately people just hate change.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like we're all creatures of habit.
Yeah.
So,
but at the end of the day, like if you look at it positively, like man, this is really cool, and this could create like an evolution in how I understand things. How I approach my vocation, how I approach even my hobbies, things I do on my own. Like there are ways that, like I said, I look at it as an augmentation of my workflow. So I'm like, I'm all about efficiency. If I can find ways to be more efficient, especially in a world of fast media where people want more and more to be able to put out there, how can you create an opportunity for yourself to be able to do it in not a I guess faster, but in a more efficient manner, right?
AI is going to be the only way we can keep up.
Yeah.
Like I can't write 30 captions in an hour. Right. You know what I mean?
But ChatGPT, in Chad's case, 5 minutes, right? Or 3 minutes, however long it takes it to put that stuff together. Yeah. Here's the only thing. We were talking about this yesterday, Shelby, and we got to talk about this real quick because I have thoughts around it. Mm-hmm. It's an aggregator. So a lot of what it's going to give you is an amalgam of a bunch of different people's work, which some people have issue with, especially with creative. Like if I'm going to ask it, make me a Christmassy image of the Rat King and the Nutcracker Prince holding a latte. It can do it and make it cinematic, and it'll look really cool. But whose work did it pull from to create that collective image or whatever it is, right? So that's the only thing that worries me, because I wouldn't want somebody to steal my work, or even a part of it, right? I mean, I know that's kind of, and a lot of people don't worry, but some people are really adamant about not doing that. And some people are like, well, it's just kind of the world we live in. And
it is.
We're all borrowing from each other anyway. So, I mean, look at social. When you think about, like, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but to me, everything on social looks the same because everybody's using the same templates on Canva, the same font, that little fat curvy font. I don't know what that font is called, but I'm so tired of seeing that font because everybody's using it because it's trending, right? And it just ends up being this, and that veers off the AI path a little bit. That's more about like doing templated stuff. But I feel like AI kind of feeds that machine, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The beautiful part is there's a future because we're still the designers and the creators are still the ones making that stuff. Right. They're creating Canva templates. They're creating templates that people are using for their AI stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves and where it all goes from here, because I think the best thing that any of us can do is just continue to stay up to speed and learn the best we can while new features and new opportunities come out to do cool stuff.
Yeah, definitely shouldn't fight it.
Yeah.
Because you will lose that battle.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen whether you want it to or not. Yeah.
I agree with the whole thing about stealing other artists' art, you could say. I was telling a few of y'all this the other day. I saw this TikTok or reel or something where some girl asked ChatGPT or something. She was like, oh, y'all, life hack. I sent a photo of my wedding venue to ChatGPT and he created a watercolor illustration of it, and now I get to use that on my wedding invitations. And I'm glad I looked at the comment section and everything was like, or you could just contact a local artist to do that for you. And because that's also another thing that maybe not everyone would think about, but of course the designers would, is whenever you use that, how's that going to print? How's that going to look on your website? Just little things like that. So I'm glad that other people are also on the same page of like, okay, cool. It's fun to experiment, but don't actually use that. Like, don't make your entire wedding stationery suite out of something you got from Chad. Like,
the other tough thing that this goes even deeper too. I think that the average person who doesn't know what people like us do day to day, I don't know how much they give a shit, because at the end of the day, when eggs are as expensive as they are and prices are going up across the board, people are looking to cut corners and save money any way they can. So they're looking at, again, now we could look at it and say, well, we're talking to Jay about this. Like, you could put a scalpel in the hands of a child or in the hands of a skilled surgeon, and your result's going to be vastly different, right? That's a dangerous tool. AI is a dangerous tool. Let's be honest. Like, it's great, but it also could be used for the wrong purposes, right? Which is probably the more scary part of it is what people can do with it.
Right.
Instead of it being, like, oh my God, we should be so afraid it's going to take our jobs.
Definitely scary when like an older audience goes on Facebook and they see, I talk about this one all the time where it's like, oh my gosh, Taylor Swift and Tom Brady are together and she's pregnant. And then they show a photo of her.
I know.
Like them together, and everyone believes it because AI made a photo of it. So that's what I think is scary.
And it looks real.
It looks good.
It's scary when you get a call from your grandma and it's her voice, like saying, I need $10,000. Like
that's another.
It's very
that kind of stuff is really creepy. What people can do with it, if like I said, if this weapon falls into the wrong hands, it's going to be catastrophic for the universe, right? It's that kind of stuff, and it's kind of real. Like, you got to pay attention to it a little bit. It's kind of like the other thing is like the misinformation that flies across the web. Like that kind of stuff can create mass misinformation, and it's just. But who knows what's real? You're an uneducated person. Sometimes you can look at this stuff and go, "Oh, that's AI."
Right, we can.
Yeah, but the average person
can't.
Like
it's gotten pretty good though.
It's better than pretty good. Yeah. It's very real. It's like the whole a few months back when the whole Kendrick Drake thing was going on, and he did the song with Pac and Snoop or whatever, and it's kind of like, wow, man, it sounds exactly like them.
Yeah.
And then people putting out songs say, "Oh, new song from Kendrick," but it's all AI created. It's that kind of stuff creates a frenzy, and people do that shit just because they want to get clicks. They're just like, oh my God, like this post, share this post. And for a time it may happen, but hopefully I'm hoping that especially like across the social sphere, like Meta and these different places will start to hone in on that a bit more and shut down the things that aren't real. Yeah,
actually Instagram has a thing now where I think it mentions on there, like it was made by AI or with AI, but I don't think it's clear yet because I think some people are using like generative fill on some of the images, and it's saying that was made by AI. So I think they're trying to work out the details.
Yeah. It's exposing
people. How does it know?
It's funny.
I was wondering, like, those have to be really intelligent systems because how do they know? That's machine learning, obviously, but how do they know? Is it coded somehow? Because I know you can actually choose to manually say that it was made with AI. But sometimes Instagram, after you put the post up, will pinpoint it itself.
Yeah.
But you can also tell it, well, let me just go ahead and tell it that it was done this way. That way they know. But it's these systems are becoming a lot more complex because they have to be able to pinpoint that kind of stuff. And hopefully it continues to. I think people should be creative, but not at the cost of stealing someone's work or doing something, claiming that something's yours when it wasn't.
Yeah,
I've been seeing
it's been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say I've been seeing a trend on Threads too, where people are posting other people's content, and then somebody will go in and comment, "This was this person from this place on this day," just so everybody knows. Like, be sure to credit people whenever you are using their stuff. You know what I mean? Because you have a lot of places that are just like tastemakers that pull in other people's content, and they won't say who did it, whether it's AI or somebody else that they pulled it from. It's scary, man, what people are capable of doing and the tools they have to do it with. So that kind of stuff.
And they're cheap too. A lot of these tools are free or cheap.
I know.
A lot of them are free because they want consumers to use it so they can build more, knowledge.
It's so those are the things that is kind of becoming the Wild West. Honestly, like, does it kind of feel that way? Like, not that shit's completely out of control, but it definitely is not far off.
It feels like the days of early social media too, where there was a lot of that as well. Like, it's very much Wild Wild West. Like, there's not really many rules. So what can we really do? And then, people's content were taken down because of, so I think we're kind of back in those days for sure when it comes to AI.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, Shelby, this was awesome. Thanks for coming on and talking with us a little bit about...
Thanks for having me. My first podcast.
Yeah, it was amazing. Well, it won't be the last, that's for sure. So in this next part of the What's the Point podcast, this is going to be a lot of fun, man, because we talked a lot about this. Raul and I, my co-host and producer of the show, Raul Espinosa, is going to talk with me a little bit about different pieces of the industry that is maybe hot topic things or things that you may want to know about, where we give an opinion about how we feel and how it affects us and the businesses that we work with.
Yeah.
One of the first things, and this is kind of apropos, that we want to talk about is, why do a podcast when everyone has a podcast?
Yeah, this is a good question. Not only because I came up with it, but because it's actually a good question. I'm just joking.
You came up with all these, man. Yeah,
I'm just joking. No, it's a great question because I actually hear that a lot, and a lot of people think that, because I talk a lot about podcasts, and a lot of people think, oh man, Raul is like the podcast king. This is all he does. And it's really not true. The only reason why I do a lot of this stuff is because I've just worked with a lot of clients, and that they want to do a lot of content, but realistically, it's really hard to do a lot of specifically video content. And so there's a really good strategy. A lot of people online call it like the Joe Rogan strategy, because I think like his podcast was kind of the first to come up with it, possibly at least got famous off of it, where you can do a full podcast in an hour. He does 3 hours. I wouldn't recommend 3 hours. But
that's a long time.
It's a very
3 hours is a long time.
Yeah, but it worked. I mean, hey, if you want to do 3 hours, do it. So, you have that long form content. And then from there, there's a lot of clips that you can do for social media. And so it's a really good strategy. And I'm not sure if it's necessarily even to point people back to the long form. It's really just... you have these standalone clips from this, this one long form. And I think it's great because then, let's say you film for an hour, you pull 8 clips out. And let's say you want to post one a week. That's a whole month's worth of content. Yeah. So, why do a podcast? It's one really good, legit reason would be for that, to do the Joe Rogan kind of strategy thing. Yeah. I also think too, there are a lot of podcasts, but there's not a lot of podcasts with you. So that's true. Personal branding is huge right now. Sure. And so I think that, I know a lot of people, they do it, and it may seem, oversaturated, but to be honest, it's kind of the media right now. And I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we've just seen it kind of explode, and it's still going. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one of the other great thing is, if you decide to, the way we kind of do things is we'll batch shoot things so that we get a bunch back to back. And then, so it goes from having 1 month's worth of content to having 2 to 3 months worth of content that we can spin out of. And you know who else follows this methodology is Gary Vee.
Yes.
Gary Vee's another guy who
really good at that.
If you guys pay attention to if you go on like SlideShare, you can find his brand, you can find his content decks. And one of the things that he says is like, do your long form stuff and then spin all your short form out of it, and then have different pieces for each channel based on who your audience is and where they live. Right. So, but his thing is always like, stop trying to make your damn feed look like an art gallery. Yeah. And just get content out into the world. Who cares if it looks unpolished? That's just the world we live in. And that's what people are used to seeing. So getting content out into the field, showing people that you know what you're talking about. Especially when you're like us, you're an agency, you don't have to, there's not a hard sell of your services. You're just showing people what you can do. Yeah. And you're having a blast doing it. I mean, look at what we get to do, man. Look at how we get to come in here and do this. It's amazing. Yeah. But it's a huge part of what we do. And, I was just telling, we were talking, Raul, just a few minutes ago about, you see a lot of content creators on YouTube, people that do reviews for products, or they're genre based, or they do something specific and centric. That they'll tell you, just start, man. Yeah. If you have one listener, 2 listeners, just start and get it going. It's going to build over. You're going to build it over time, especially if you're having fun. Yeah. People can hear that, man. Yeah. People can hear that you're having a good time.
And the good thing is, you do want to start these things when you have no audience, because you want to make those mistakes when no one's looking.
Yeah, you got to handle all your flubs when nobody's listening.
Because the only way you're going to get good is if you just practice and you just keep doing it.
But you get to iron out some of that stuff.
Yeah, and like another thing that a lot of people get really scared of is they think they're gonna just oversaturate their feed with just podcast clips. And the reality of it is, whenever you do the clips, they're they're distributed on these platforms as reels. So it's like a whole different other section of the platform. So as an example, like Instagram, it's a whole other thing, right? So it may not even, your followers may not even see it every day, you know? And so these reels, if you look at the analytics, 80% of the viewers are non-followers.
Yeah.
So A, it's a good way to get to non-followers. And B, I think we're very scared of what our audience is going to think. And I think that they're probably not even seeing every single piece of content you're doing. Yeah. So I think a lot of business owners should be like at ease when it comes to those things. It really is targeted to new followers, people who don't know you. And so you do want to you do want to just kind of like overflow the system, you know,
without having to dump a bunch of money into paid initiatives. You know, that's something we talk a lot about too, is like, because people want to jump straight to paid social, or because a place is trying to sell in a service. And this is sort of, I'm kind of downplaying things a little bit, but this is sort of one of the things that people come in there like, well, I need to make more noise on social, because everybody, if you're not doing social, you're missing the boat. Obviously, it's a huge part of what we do.
Right.
It's the new media, right? Like TV and radio are not what they used to be. Connected TV, social, those kind of things. But I think that if you know that, if that's the way you can tell. But the thing about it is like, you can tell a client, hey, look, let's test some things organically, throw some stuff out there, see if we can get some traction, and then once we get traction, Meta in these channels are going to recommend to you what you should do. You're like, hey, you're getting a lot of traction on this post. You may want to put a little bit of money behind it to extend its reach a little bit, get some more eyes and ears. But doing that right off the bat might not always be the best move. Maybe you should approach things organically first and then figure out what works without having to spend a bunch of money to figure it out. Yeah,
we actually talked about that the other day. And I think that also is one of the reasons why we're changing this segment up a little bit. We did a few organic posts for Point, and we saw that one of them got, actually 3 of them specifically got really good reach. Yeah. And so these are kind of tests. You can do these tests. It sounds very complicated. Oh, let's test content and, you know, data analytics and all this stuff. And really a lot of it is just like, put it out there and let's just see how people react to it. And if you see that there's a lot of really good views on it, then it's safe to say, hey, put your money on this one, because it did really good organically. Yeah. And so we decided, you know what, even the second segment, like let's bring on some of the people that we had in these videos to answer a couple of these questions, and let's see how those clips do.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah. And as a digital guy, I'm very much I think everybody here is a proponent of A/B testing. So it's like, let's throw some things out there and let's find what works first before we go recommending you putting a bunch of media spend behind. We try to be good stewards of people's media budgets.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like you brought up Gary Vee, if this guy's out there testing and just doing things, and he's, you know, multimillionaire and he's great at this stuff, that means that's kind of the way to do it. You know, you do kind of got to just put yourself out there and test these things.
And I think that's the thing he's always a proponent of, man. He's like, just get content out into the world, you know, show people what you know, have fun doing it. I think that's the important thing. That's something he stresses a lot too, is just like, man, have a good time doing it.
People overthink social media so much, and it's like, man, you just got to have fun doing it. Yeah. Because it's one of those things. It's like when you walk into a room and you're happy, people they know it. And you know, if you walk into a room and you're kind of forcing a smile, it's like people can see that too. Yeah. So I think like even with content, you know, you just got to have fun with it. Just be authentic. Who cares what people think?
I know, man.
You know, there's going to be a lot of people who, you know, who care, but I mean, who cares? So there's going to be a lot of people who don't care, and they're just going to enjoy it.
No matter what you go through in life, you're going to have people that are big fans. You're going to have people that are detractors, because some people, I mean, that's just the way things go. You know, especially with art. And I consider content creation to be a form of art, right? Like, you're putting yourself out there into the world. Like, if you're sharing something about your journey, like let's say you're a creator and you are a filmmaker and you put your work out there into the world, you're opening it up for critique. So that's like the bravest thing you can do. But the reality is, like, especially for creators, some of what we do is very inherent to who we are. So we take it very seriously. Yeah. But the thing to remember is, put it out there. You're not going to be able to please everybody, because art is so subjective. Content's no different. Whether or not people think you're interesting on your podcast is totally subjective, because someone may listen to it and go, man, they're really talking about great stuff. And somebody can listen to it and go, yeah, I know all this already.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. Well, that shouldn't stop you from doing your thing, especially if you enjoy it. Do the things that make you happy. And the byproduct of it, the followers, the fans, the people that listen to you, that watch your stuff, that's going to happen by default, because you're putting in the work.
Yeah.
One other thing we've talked a lot about, Raul, and we talked a lot about inside the company too, is that, you know, the curtain being pulled back and transparency. We live in an age of transparency, right? So thought leadership and company transparency are the future. And, Tim Cook recently teased and announced the last 2 Apple products from his X account. Yeah. So we talked a lot about people being more willing to follow a person than they are a big monolithic brand, right? So people are probably going to go and try to find, for me, I'm interested in product design. So for me, it wasn't about following Apple. It was about following Johnny Ive. Like, let me go find the person that's responsible for this and go find out what they have to say about it. Yeah. Right. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the funny thing is I used to watch the keynotes all the time, and they had the, Johnny Ives and all that kind of introduce and kind of talk about these things. And I think that's what really sold it. I'm not sure if they knew what they were doing. I think it was something that just, I'm not sure, right? But it feels like something that just kind of happened. Like, hey, we're going to do these keynotes. Let's kind of like spread the love and everybody can talk about their own product.
Yeah.
But I really think that they kind of were onto something, and that kind of overflowed over to the social media as well, where, Tim Cook started to post a lot, and people started to notice online that his following just got really big. It got, twice the size of Apple. Yeah. And so I think a lot of people, there's a lot of buzz online, and people are starting to notice this. And so personal branding started coming, really big. And, a lot of CEOs early on were trying to kind of also do the same thing. And I think it got to the point where, now like Tim Cook actually will tease and announce products before Apple does. And I think that's amazing. I think they kind of realize, I think that's going to be, they're really big at like kind of starting these, I don't want to call them trends, but I don't know, lack of better words, we'll just call it a trend. But I think they're really good at starting these trends. Yeah. And I think it's going to be really big. I think it's already really big, the fact that he did that. And it's kind of surprising. People noticed it right away. And I do think now it is intentional that they're doing that. I think at first it was probably like, well, we'll give a little bit of personality. And I think they realize how effective that is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that question. Do you think that was something that like they sat around in a business meeting with maybe the PR or social team and said, hey, we're seeing this happen in the space. Tim, we think it'd be a really good idea if you start to you start as the launching point, as a springboard for a lot of the things that we're doing as a company, but it needs to come from you first.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, and again, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, kind of testing things, right? Like I think they were doing things, not knowing what it could be, but then once they see how people were reacting to these individuals in Apple, they started to realize, okay, we got to hone in on that now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That could have been a complete failure, right? When they first started doing that,
100%.
But you don't know until you start doing it, and so I think that's kind of what happened. I'm not sure, but I can definitely tell you now that it has to be intentional.
Yeah,
they have to be aware of this now.
The other thing I was thinking about is that not everybody, because you still got companies like we were talking yesterday about Wendy's, who has a pretty heavy social presence and with their little snarky personality and all that. But not every CEO is going to have the personality of a Tim Cook. Like Tim is the leader of that company, but he's also, personality wise, he's viable, right? Like you can put somebody like him out there and it makes sense. Or Gary Vee, who's very and a very impassioned person. Gary Vee's a CEO. I mean, he's VaynerMedia. I mean, he's got his own several companies, but he's got that kind of personality where he's compelling, right? You got to put somebody out there that's compelling. I mean, it's good to have that transparency, but if you're a dud, it's just kind of like if you're some financial guy who sits in or guy or gal that sits in a suit behind a desk all day and has the personality of a wooden wooden block or something, then people are going to be like, okay, this is not you got to have some personality.
You got to have some personality, and that's why we talk about thought leadership. It doesn't have to be the CEO. It could be leaders within the company.
Okay, so that's the other thing I want to get into.
Yeah, and I think that would be great too. But I do think too, it's something that's already proven. Like there's already a lot of people that are doing it.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to test too much anymore. It's just a matter of doing what we know works.
Yeah.
And this is what's working right now.
Well, just look at LinkedIn too. That's a great example. Look at all the people, the leaders in companies that are putting out content in those spaces. Like it doesn't always have to be video or audio. It could be just thought leadership, like written pieces. One of my buddies, we're going to try to get on the show at some point, Cameron Gawley, who was one of the co-founders of BuzzShift. He does that kind of stuff on LinkedIn like a couple times a week. He'll just post some kind of engaging thought leadership piece on some topic that he wants to cover, and then he creates conversation around it with his network of people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people that are chiming in are also founders
right,
and investors and people that are sort of big players in the space that then all of a sudden you look at it and you've got a comment thread, the size of a short novel.
Yeah.
And it's great to be able to create that kind of conversation and engagement.
It's also brilliant too, because it's, back in the day you couldn't talk to a CEO of a company.
Right.
And now you can just hit them up in the comments.
Right.
And, a lot of times I've talked to a lot of CEOs like in the comments.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to get involved, but I do think also, a lot of people are intimidated by CEOs.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the whole purpose of this thought leadership thing, right? It's like they kind of come down and we're on the same level, right? And so like that whole barrier is kind of been taken down.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's why it's so effective, the thought leadership, like personal branding aspect, all of it.
Yeah, and the more people understand that, the more effective they can be for themselves and their company. Because it's kind of twofold, right? It's a two-pronged approach. You're humanizing yourself as a leader in the space, whether you're a CEO, COO, CMO, CCO, whatever the case may be, or a VP. Put yourself out there so that people, because the thing about it is like people want to hear from people that have been around, right?
Yeah,
people want to soak it up. They're like, what do you know that I don't know that I need to know? Right. And they want to find people that have been through it. So if you have sage wisdom and advice that you've been able to gain over time, then it's only right. And I kind of feel like it's a moral responsibility for us when we're in these positions to help the next generation of leaders, man. We have to pull them up, we have to build them up. And I think that's something we all talk a lot about here is ways that we can help people have a path forward.
Yeah.
But then help them be prepared to in an evolving space, this space is rapidly evolving, man. Mm-hmm. So having to stay on top of everything, but then also help the others, give them room to come up and make an impact as well is absolutely
that's
the way
it.
to go.
No more gatekeeping, man.
Yeah, man.
Everything.
Yeah, gatekeeping is whack. it's whack.
Over.
Yeah, we've talked about
it's officially dead. Yeah,
completely. Man, Raul, this has been awesome.
Yeah, it has been.
Man, this has been so great, and this is just the beginning, man. This is going to evolve over time, and we're so happy that you guys have joined us. Don't forget, you can check us out on YouTube at youtube.com @thepointgroup, and where all our new long form episodes are going to be posted. And then don't forget to follow us on social @thepointgroup as well across most platforms, Instagram,
I think our
the metaverse.
Yeah. I think Instagram and LinkedIn will probably be our big ones.
Yeah, I think those are probably the two spaces.
But you can follow us anywhere, wherever you're at.
Yeah, you can also just go search The Point Group and you'll be able to find us. Just look for the P with the little dot in the black circle, and that's us. So that's our new evolving brand. So thank you guys for joining us. And don't forget to subscribe and follow so you can catch new episodes as they pop up. And you'll get notified and hear the little bell, the bell and all that good stuff. Yeah. So
what did you say? Like smash?
Yeah, smash that. Smash the like button. Oh, also, hey, listen, if you've got thoughts around some of the stuff we talk about and you want to get in the conversation, don't forget to leave something in the comments.
Yeah, leave something in the comments, and we will answer, in the comments, of course, but also it could be something that we potentially talk about in a future episode too.
Absolutely. And we may pose ideas like that to you guys. Be like, what do you guys think about this? Or what else do you want to hear us talk about? What else do you want insights on? Like we're going to cover a lot, and we're going to have some surprise guests. Like we'll have people from inside the agency, obviously, but we're going to have some surprises for you guys. It's going to be really dope. So absolutely tap in, and we just thank you guys for checking in and hanging out with us, man. So it's been awesome.